Hey guys, my presentation is going to be on the harms and policies surrounding smokeless tobacco. And it really hits on the perceived risk and demand of smokeless versus smoked tobacco in a sense in the youth category. But something we really see today is that there's a lot of marketing that really tries to curb the smoking. Like our generation is going to be the one to stop smoking, but there's not really any advertisements surrounding smokeless tobacco. There's not really anything that really highlights and puts out there that it is not a good use of tobacco, whether even if it's not smoking. Um, and there's multiple types of smokeless tobacco. There's chew, which is loose leaf and long tobacco, and there's moist snuff, which is what we commonly refer to as dip. And then there's pouches, snus, and all these other types of smokeless tobacco. But every single one, there's at least 28 cancer-causing chemicals that are found in these products. So it is obviously not a good habit to form, but there's not really anything that hits on smokeless tobacco when there's all this advertisement surrounding smoking. And to start off with the policy, the most recent policy was the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act in 2009, and it's in regards to smokeless tobacco, it kind of strengthened the regulations for the warnings that are posted on the products. It made sure that the labels were bigger that said this is not a safe alternative to cigarettes. That it said that this product does cause mouth cancer, and all these other things that really the FDA wanted to make sure that these were seen and these warnings were made to be seen, and it wasn't just small little labels that made it kind of iffy whether or not it was a safe alternative. And according to the CDC, of high school students, 10% of males use smokeless tobacco and 1.8% of females use smokeless tobacco, which is in use meaning one or more days of use within the 30 days before the survey was sent out. The study I'm highlighting is the demand for smokeless tobacco among male high school students in the United States, the impact of taxes, prices, and policies. And this study really wanted to hit on the prevalence of smokeless tobacco that was out there in high schools regarding males and whether or not an increase in tax affected the prevalence of it and the use of it. The study that was used to collect data from was the National Youth Risk Behavior Survey that was enacted by the CDC, and they coupled that data with tobacco taxes, prices, and policies current to the study. And they used a two-equation model. And the first model was a probate regression that showed smokeless tobacco prevalence, and the second was a linear regression that showed the number of days the product was used by smokeless tobacco users. And the results were pretty much coherent with what they estimated going into it, and is that when you raise these taxes, the prevalence goes down as you get older, as you get closer to the age of 18, the legal age of use for smokeless tobacco, you see kind of a rising effect, and that the higher the tax in the state, the less percentage use prevalence of tobacco. And then for this table, we saw that the percentage decrease from mean to max, we see the red arrow, showed that with an increase in the tax in the maximum from mean to max, you saw a 29% decrease of use and prevalence which is the maximum tax, which was 75% of the wholesale price of the product itself. And so again, if the tax on smokeless tobacco was increased to 75% of the wholesale price of the product, which was the max we saw in the previous table 3, then the prevalence of smokeless tobacco among high school students was 18.81 to 29.05 lower than the average prevalence of the tobacco, along with a decrease in 10.15% and 18.59% of the average use of the smokeless tobacco among high school users. And so really those were like the big findings, and really they thought that would happen, but the number is huge and really says that such a simple increase in the tax will just substantially decrease the use among high school students and lead to a less habits formed in adult stages, because really these habits are formed in high school and on to college. But if you curb it in high school, then it really will lead on to college. So, I mean, that's really the best policy, is just to increase these taxes.